We began this story by looking at Anakin's early Jedi training if Yoda had been the one to train him rather than Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you haven't seen the first part to this series, be sure to go and check that out. This video will take a look at how the events of Episode 2 would change if Yoda was Anakin's master. The Separatist movement would continue to become a growing threat to the Republic, just as in the normal timeline. Through this, the attempted assassination of Senator Amidala would take place on the landing platforms of Coruscant. Jedi protection would be assigned to Padme, and Chancellor Palpatine would suggest Anakin Skywalker. In Attack of the Clones, when Chancellor Palpatine suggests Obi-Wan, I believe it's because he knows that means Anakin will also be assigned to protect her as well, thus putting Anakin in a position to form an attachment to Padme, which we know will be key to Palpatine's plan with Anakin. In our story, though, Palpatine would directly suggest Anakin be assigned to protect Padme, but Mace Windu would immediately dismiss that, instead recommending Obi-Wan and his Padawan Barriss Offee. Now, side note, I think if Barriss was trained by Obi-Wan, or basically by any Jedi who wasn't as callous as Luminara, she wouldn't have turned to the dark side and framed Ahsoka. But that's maybe a video for later. Anakin would be frustrated at the choice to assign Obi-Wan and Barriss to protecting Padme. Primarily, he was frustrated because he was growing desperate for a chance to prove himself as a worthy apprentice to the Grand Master Yoda. But in part, he wanted to see Padme again. If you recall from Part 1, because of Anakin's focused training on meditation and oneness with the Force, his thoughts did not dwell on Padme as strongly as in the original timeline. From here, many of the events of Episode 2 would play out as normal, only instead of Anakin traveling with Padme, it would be Barriss. This would mean that Anakin and Padme would not have a chance to fall in love with each other. Instead, Anakin would remain at the Jedi Temple, growing more and more frustrated that he was not able to take a mission for himself. During this time, Anakin would begin to have dreams of his mother dying. While Anakin had been able to detach his thoughts of his mother more effectively under Yoda's teaching, these dark side-fueled dreams would begin to rule Anakin's lonely nights. However, unable to break from his training with Yoda, Anakin would remain at the temple rather than go to Tatooine, while his mother died in a Tusken Raider camp. Anakin would be made aware of her passing much later. When he brought his worries to his master, Yoda would again dismiss them and remind Anakin that a Jedi must learn to remove any attachments. Soon, the Council would get word from Obi-Wan of his discoveries on Kamino. Barriss would transmit this signal from Naboo, and Padme would try convincing Barriss to travel to Geonosis in order to help Obi-Wan. But Barriss would deny that idea, and the two would remain on Naboo. The Senate would respond to the growing Separatist movement by approving the use of a galactic army, and based on Obi-Wan's information, Yoda would travel to Kamino to investigate the clones, only this time he would bring his apprentice Anakin Skywalker. Mace would proceed to take what Jedi he could to Geonosis. The rescue of Obi-Wan and the Battle of Geonosis would play out in a similar way to the original timeline. The Jedi would put up a valiant effort, but would ultimately be overwhelmed by battle droids. But in the final moments, Yoda and Anakin would arrive with the Grand Army of Clones. The Jedi and clones would push the attack on the droid starships, but instead of Anakin and Obi-Wan chasing Dooku alone, the gunship occupied by Yoda, Anakin, and now Obi-Wan would spot Dooku fleeing and begin their pursuit. Arriving at the hangar, the three Jedi would corner Count Dooku, who was preparing his shuttle for takeoff. Sure of his powers as a Sith Lord, Dooku would greet his opponents with confidence. But this time the three Jedi would face him together. And Anakin, being a bit more wise, would not rush Dooku. Instead, the three Jedi would begin to surround him. The duel began quickly, with Yoda taking Dooku head-on while Anakin and Obi-Wan flanked him. And despite Dooku's master swordsmanship, he would be outmatched and eventually subdued and captured by the Jedi. With the droid army in full retreat and Count Dooku captured, it would appear that the Clone Wars had started and ended on the same day. Unfortunately, this would not be the case. Unknown to the Jedi, Darth Sidious was still in control and would have many contingencies in place should Dooku be captured this early. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of What If Yoda Trained Anakin. Part 3 will wrap up this story by covering how the events of Episode 3 would turn out. Let me know in the comments below what you think will happen next, and have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you. I'll catch you in the next video.